Hi. Oop, no voice. Pastor Michael Cum from Sioux City, Iowa.
Pastor Joe Home, Fort Wayne, Indiana, at St. Paul's Lutheran Church.
Well,
Good to see you, Michael.
it's good to be seen.
Yes.
That's what they say in the funeral business, which is what I did before I became a pastor.
Well, hey, and I always like to see customers, which is what I did before I came to the seminary, sold cars, and had a good lucrative business. But thanks be to God that received the call to Concordia Theological Seminary, and was one of the best places and one of the greatest times in not only my life, but in the life for my family as well.
Yeah, I agree. My time at the seminary is great. Started out thinking when I was in junior high school that I'd like to be a pastor, but had a good pastoral model at my church, but I wasn't the best student in the world, so I didn't think college was a thing for me.
Wow.
So it was later on in life after I became an adult learner. I was a much better adult learner than I was in high school. So I thought, well, maybe I really can do this. And I thought, well, I'll apply. If they accept me, I'll know it's a good thing. And if they don't, then I won't.
Well, it's kind of the same situation with me, too. I remember it wasn't so much the academic side. I was just a little bit more on the wild side. And so
I believe that.
I know. And so after my first 2 years of school, I don't think they asked me back. But thanks be to God, I settled down and met some great people and went to one of the Concordias, not necessarily because it was a Lutheran school, but because they had a good communications program, and then met some wonderful Lutheran people and great Lutheran professors. And, a few of them encouraged me to consider the seminary and the ministry, and I said, oh, that's not me. And then, several years later, the Lord called me to go to the seminary. And I remember something my mom said. She said, you have to read and do all kinds of studying. Are you sure you want to do that? And, thanks be to God, with great professors at the seminary, they encouraged and supported me, and wonderful friends that I have now for life, and wonderful, faithful members in the church that have also encouraged. So, it's just such a great calling, and when the Lord calls, it's good to answer those things.
That's true. My biggest fear was they told me I was going to have to take Greek.
Yeah.
And I was not good at languages, And when I got there and I spent that summer studying Greek, and I mean, you were literally immersed in it. And I thought, I think I'm going to be able to do this. And I was. I passed, surprisingly to me, but then that took me all the way through the rest of it. I found that you used that language to take me all the way through the seminary. And like you, I mean, I made some of the best friends I've ever had in my life there. But mostly I think that I learned that I'm here to do something that most people are not given the opportunity to do. And that's, Word and Sacrament ministry, and be there for people in their times of need. It's been a true blessing for me and my family. It's words, just sometimes there just isn't any words.
Right.
I mean, it's just great.
It's so humbling that God calls sinners like us to do that holy work. And, I remember I never, ever viewed myself as ever being a pastor. I wasn't like you that maybe in junior high thought about it. I thought that was the furthest thing from that. But, certain people in my life encouraged me and said, hey, have you ever thought of this? And I was like, nope, I'm a car guy. That's not me. But by God's grace and by people's encouragement, I said, like you, hey, I'll apply. Let's see if I get in. And,
Yeah.
Not only did I get in, but then was able to get through summer Greek, which was brutal, and it humbled me in a lot of ways. But talk about meeting some lifelong friends and getting through that. And now I just think what a great opportunity and what a privilege to get paid to do what we all should do, which is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ to a hurting world. And I think about the people, the professors, the people that have been so influential in my own personal life, or those people during those 4 years of seminary, even all the way through. And, having been adopted and being from India, and now just to look back and to see how the Lord has worked in my life through all of these different situations, and how the seminary has really formed me as a person, has formed our family, and has brought us close together. And wow, how humbling is it to be a pastor in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod?
I went to Concordia St. Louis, and it was that place in and of itself became a kind of a holy ground for me. that every time I go back there and I step into the chapel or one of the classrooms, it is like coming home, because that place literally formed me. That residential education that I got at Concordia Seminary made me the man that I am today. The man I was before then was not necessarily bad, but I came out of there a different man than I was when I went in.
Right.
And just because of the things that I learned, the people that I was surrounded by, faculty, fellow students, some students that were behind me, ahead of me, younger than me, because there were no students older than me at the seminary at the time, but it was okay. You know, they called me Dad, and that was okay too.
Right.
But you know, and I thought, well, maybe I'm too old for this, but I really wasn't. And you know, being a second career pastor was sometimes I take a few jabs about it, but all in all, it's been a good thing. A lot of experiences in my life that I was being able to bring in that made me a better pastor, I think, than had I come in at 22 or 26 years old. And I think that's an important part of my career, that all the things that I learned in my life, I was able to funnel in to make myself a better pastor for the people that I served.
Oh, it's so great. And I really respect the young guys that can come right out of one of these schools and then go right to seminary in the early 20s. And that wasn't what the Lord had in store. But, you know, like you said, I think about all the experiences that I had that led up to that, and the great support that the faculty and staff at the seminary give. I thought, how am I going to financially make this work? How is my family going to do? But the community of people there that are so supportive, from, you know, having pastors that are professors to talk to having people on the staff that are so kind to my wife and kids. It was just an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
The best 4 years of my life and of our marriage, and our family would tell you that we are so humbled to have gone to the seminary and to receive the gifts that they have there. So
Completely agree. Yeah, I was single when I went, so it was just me. So I found myself in my mid 40s living in a dormitory with a bunch of 26-year-olds.
Wow.
And that was a new experience, but it was good. You know, I had a lot to share with them, and they shared a lot with me. And so for that part of it, I was very thankful, and made a lot of those young guys are still my friends and still call me periodically. Some of them still call me Dad, but that's all right too. So.
well, I like to call you Dad as well. So
Yeah, you and everybody else. So
Well,
it's the white hair and the white beard.
Exactly. But, you know, I just think about when I talk to people in my parish, young men that are looking at the gifts that God has given to them and how they can serve the church. And, you know, not everybody is called to the seminary, but, you know, I encourage a lot of guys. I say, hey, go and see.
Yep.
And check this out and see if this is something for you. And, you know, as pastors, I think we have a great opportunity to encourage other men
Absolutely.
to consider this calling. And obviously it's a calling, and it's not for everyone. But, you know, I think sometimes people are worried, oh, how am I going to financially do this? Or, as you said, can we academically do this? But I'm reminded that God gives us the gifts to do the work that He calls us to do. And
That's very true.
It's so humbling to see how the Lord does that. And, you know, I was thinking, man, I have a wife and 3 kids, and now 4 because something's in the water at the seminary. But you know, and I just think how the Lord provided with different people and resources to do that work. And so I'm humbled and grateful that I've been called to do that. And I really encourage other guys to do the same thing.
One of the best things I had as a pastor was to have a couple of my kids actually go on and be pastors. In fact, one of them's working a booth just around the corner over here, and to see them shine and succeed and grow in being a pastor, and know that I had maybe even just a little tiny bit part of that, makes me feel well.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it. So,
And I
wonderful.
and again, you know, seminary is just a great place not only to form you as a Christian, but also as a human being, and to really see the light of Christ shining through in the faculty, staff, professors, and other people that are there.
Completely agree.